Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 38, Observations and Thoughts. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this podcast, the It's On My Way application. It's found in the App Store now for $2.99, and it's a great little app that I use both on my iPad and my iPhone to plan out a quick route on how to just travel from various errands I need to complete for the afternoon. And it just makes it so quick and easy to go from point A to point B to point C and back home again. And I'd like to thank them for sponsoring this podcast. Once again, it's called It's On My Way. It's in the App Store now for $2.99. Well, welcome to another episode of the iPad Possibilities Podcast. And today I've got a couple different topics I want to talk about. I've been using the iPhone app of the TomTom on the iPad 3G, and I've got some thoughts on that as well as some other ideas and some more possibilities I was thinking of during the course of this week. Before we get to all of that, I'd like to let everyone know that I've been working on something today, and that is putting together a pretty comprehensive episode on music. It might end up being multiple parts, but I've been going through the App Store, and there's 16 pages dedicated to music apps on there. And I've gone through all of those pages and emailed a great deal of those developers and have gotten a great response as far as getting free promo codes for those apps, as well as some extra promo codes for some giveaways on those episodes. So I'm currently around at about 12 and upwards as far as giveaways I'll have in that show. So 12 different apps that will be given away during the course of those music episodes, and even more that I've been able to get as just for myself to basically just review and kind of give you a very, very comprehensive overview of what is possible on the iPad as far as music creation, music editing, and basically the whole realm of music, both learning music yourself from anything from children apps to help them learn what music's about, theory behind music, all sorts of different possibilities that the iPad's brought. And my hope here is to give everyone an overview and an in-depth look, even more than an overview, of the possibilities of what music is on the iPad right now. And it'll be very cool to see within a year what happens as far as applications and seeing how it all develops. So I wanted to let everyone know that's something I've been working on today, and my goal is for next week to have that music episode, at least the first one, out and on the stream. So I want to let everyone know about that. And without further ado, let's get into the rest of this show. So the first topic of conversation I want to talk about today is that of the TomTom app. Now, I own the TomTom app for the iPhone, and I've been able to use that. It works great on the iPhone as well as the iPod Touch. I've got that little in-car system where you just mount it up on your dashboard, and it's got GPS with the iPod Touch now. But I did something a little bit different. I tried it out on the 3G iPad. As many people know, the 3G iPad has GPS built into it. And as many have reported, the GPS within that is even greater than that of in the iPhone 3GS. And my findings is, that's been very, very, very true. My only comparison I have is with the GPS found in the iPod Touch car kit from TomTom and that of the GPS found in the iPhone 3G. And my findings have been that, the GPS found in this iPad is far greater than any other GPS device I've had. Even that of the TomTom car kit, which is very surprising since that's what it's for. That's what it was designed for. That's why you bought it, to add GPS to your iPod Touch. But I found that the connection speed to get up and running on GPS was far greater with this iPad 3G than that of either of those two systems. I found that the accuracy and the speed it updates to GPS was far greater than any of those two devices, and I've just been blown away by just how great this iPad is with GPS ability. And I can't wait to test out some other apps that use this GPS, such as Motion X GPS, which is pretty hot on the App Store right now, and some other apps such as, geocaching apps and things like that. And I can't wait until I start to test those out, because the battery life is so great that it won't take a huge hit on that as far as it has on the iPhone, which has been a major downer when I'm trying to use those apps. But I've just been blown away by how great the TomTom app has really been on the iPad. It's kind of bizarre, though, because TomTom thinks this is actually an iPod Touch. So it'll alternate between the street name up top and then connect to GPS, because it thinks that it doesn't have a GPS signal, but it updates just fine and works just fine and gives voice commands and all of that perfectly fine. And it's a wonderful experience using TomTom on the iPad. I really do hope they come out with a universal application that would be designed for the iPad. I'm not sure if they see the iPad as a good market for this application, but I really do hope that they do write one for it, because my experience is it's been a great GPS device, and I can't wait to see different car manufacturers finding good mounting solutions and accessory manufacturers doing that same thing. And I really hope that application developers will start writing apps that use this GPS functionality of the 3G iPad. So those were some thoughts I had on the TomTom app with the iPad. Now, kind of along the same realms of all of this has been the Maps app. I had some thoughts as far as what is it like using the Maps app without any access to wireless data. No Wi-Fi, no 3G, and I wanted to just test out the caching ability, right? So it's kind of interesting. It does a pretty good job caching to what I've found. I just opened up the Maps app when I turned off Wi-Fi and 3G, and I was able to zoom in quite a far bit from where I last left off with the map. And it seemed fairly usable as long as I didn't go outside of that range I've been working with. So I just wanted to add that quick thought as far as the Maps app and it being pretty usable to my findings, at least, with it just simply caching the data. So I'd love your thoughts on the Maps app. Are you finding that you can use it on the road without Wi-Fi or 3G okay? Or are you running into problems? So let me know and send that feedback to iPadPossibilities@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your feedback regarding that. And also, for those 3G iPad users, are you finding the same thing with the GPS chip? Are you finding any good use cases of GPS? So send those at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com, and that'd be greatly appreciated. Switching gears here, I want to discuss another type of app that I'd love to see come to the iPad. And if you've seen these, let me know. But I'm really looking for a great puzzle app that where you have your pictures, or they could be your own pictures, or perhaps just as you get regular puzzle boxes where you piece them together. I'd love a large part of the screen be dedicated to the puzzle where you piece it together, and then part of the screen you have the puzzle pieces, and you just put it together. Right? I think the iPad's a perfect form factor for puzzles on the go, where you don't have to have a whole table set up to it to make sure it all works right and doesn't get messed up. I could see puzzles being a huge benefactor of the iPad. I could see puzzle companies making apps that work really well with the iPad, and I'm also very excited to try out some crossword puzzles. I currently don't have any crossword puzzle apps, but I've seen some good ones out there that I'll try out in a few days. But I think crosswords and those kinds of apps would be just really great in the iPad, and I just wanted to share my thoughts regarding those different topics there. Now, switching gears yet again is that of home shopping. I think that I had this thought this week that home shopping, you've got those TV stations that have the home shopping network and all that. What if people started creating apps that were geared towards iPad? I could see a lot of people buy things on their iPads right now. They know people that own iPads probably have some sort of income that they were able to purchase an iPad with. And I could see a wide variety of great apps geared towards shopping from home. to make that a great experience. Amazon already has an app designed for the iPad, and I think they could do a better job with that app. I think other companies should really start looking into this whole market of home shopping and what it could mean for the iPad. They could have videos included with that. They could have interactivity and all sorts of great things that take home shopping to the next level. And as a part of that, they could have more interactive. Now I'm gearing this towards real estate, but those real estate brochures could now be done on the iPad. They could have very real life interactive real estate brochures that can guide you through the house. They could have a full interactive video, or you just simply sort of Google Street View it, kind of walk yourself through the house. And brochures such as this could be taken to a level where you don't even have to visit the house really to get a feel of what this house is like. It could be so interactive and so immersive that it could sell your house really easily and really quickly if it's done well. So I think home shopping and shopping in general, both that real estate or cars, I think cars could have a great application. Honda could make their own app that just tells everyone what their cars are like in a great immersive way. So I think shopping and that whole genre of brochures and kind of marketing your products could be a huge thing that hasn't really exploded yet on the iPad, and I think it will given time. So I think there's a huge market there of people that just are relaxing at home and see, hey, there's a product I'm looking at getting. Maybe I'll check that app out and take a look at it. So that's my other quick thought of the week here with shopping on the iPad. I wanted to move ahead to an application that I picked up today after seeing it on Macworld. And it's called Keyboard Upgrade, and it's a very interesting premise of an app. What it does is it gives you the ability to create kind of a custom layout for how you want your keyboard set up with, I guess, the intent to thumb type or some other way of typing. But it basically splits up a keyboard, which is slightly smaller than the regular iPad keyboard, up into two separate halves, splitting it with the G and H and V and B and T and Y up top. And it splits it up so you can drag it however you want. You could even have it opposite of how it should be, it looks like. But you can kind of rearrange the keyboard as needed. It's kind of a bizarre concept. It's $1 in the App Store. And I have to say, I can't really give it my recommendation. It's kind of bizarre, right? I've gotten accustomed to typing pretty fast with the way the built-in iPad keyboard is designed. And this keyboard, it gives you smaller letters than the traditional iPad keyboard. And it's just kind of quirky. It's just a weird little app that it's kind of fun to play with, but not really practical as I've seen it. It might be cool if they give you the ability to create even more customized keyboards where you can have a number pad on there and all sorts of other things, but currently it's just kind of a weird app. But I'm very curious to see as they update the app what comes of it and how they progress it forward to make it more useful. Perhaps you could create your own key mappings, right, on the iPad. That could be a very cool thing that they could add to this. But right now it's kind of a weird little toy app, I would say. So I just wanted to send those thoughts in before you purchase it. I would kind of say don't purchase it. It's kind of still in that beta phase where I think it still needs a great deal of improvements for it to become useful, but I think one day it will become useful. So I'd say hold off for now, but kind of a cool little app. So one thing I found is that I am using many more apps than I ever did on my iPhone. And I've already, just today, I experienced the problem of I don't have enough room on my iPad to fit all the apps I want on there. I now have over 2 pages of music apps as I'm getting ready to do that show next week, as I talked about. And I'm just finding I'm not having enough room, and I'm very excited for hopefully when the summer comes out and the betas of the 4.0 come out that will finally get some folders and things like that to help manage our apps a little bit better. But I'm very excited to see when 4.0 comes out, because I'm not sure if anybody else has run this issue, but running out of space on your iPad as far as where to, store all these apps on the different pages is becoming a big problem for me, at least. So if you're having this problem too, what are your apps that are filling up your iPads? For me, it's audio apps, games, and some other various apps like that. Entertainment apps are a big one. But send me an email at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com. I'd love to hear, how are you filling up your iPad screens, and are you running into the same problem of filling up your screens as well? So I'd love to hear your feedback there regarding that. So another possibility that I think we will begin to see, and it'll become a reality pretty soon, is that of tour books and tour guides of different cities. I think that the iPad is a perfect device for tourism, that different cities could develop their own apps that become the official Chicago app for tourism, that it would have on 3G iPad your GPS information. They'd be able to travel the city, find the spots to go, the best restaurants in the town, and all of those great things. And it could be this completely immersive experience of using the iPad as a means of traveling and experiencing a brand new city to get the most out of your traveling experience. I think that will be huge. I'm not sure if the cities themselves will hire developers to do this. I kind of doubt it. But I think from a tourism standpoint, there's a huge potential for application developers to create these apps that just encapsulate you in the city and in the experience of traveling. Whoever nails this, whoever gets this down right, I think will really win a great deal of the market and have a great deal of income. Because if they learn how to write these apps, they could do it for a bunch of different cities and create a great deal of income. So this is one just great idea I thought of tourism. I think there's a huge market for it, and if you can find out how to make a great app that deals with this, I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see this kind of app come out as I start to travel more and more. It's a great possibility that I think will emerge as time goes by. So that kind of wraps up the main talking points I wanted to share with you guys today. And one final thing I wanted to share is, if you have a topic of interest you'd like me to cover, like for instance, I'm going to be doing a huge music segment. I'm looking into pretty much every app available for music that's out right now. Not every one, but a wide variety and very in-depth. But if there is a topic or subject matter you'd like me to look into, I will do my best to do another in-depth show, another series of episodes like I'm going to be doing on music with that topic. So if you have a topic that you want me to get a bunch of different apps that all cover that, I have the means of doing that, the means of getting free copies of a bunch of different apps that are around the same different category, and doing comparisons for you and kind of giving you a more in-depth look as far as what are all these apps out there and what's the best way for me to accomplish that task, or different things like that. So if you want, just send me an email or voice message. You can do that at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com, or the voice message at 209-542-iPad. And I will take a look at those or listen to those and do my best to get back with you and start doing some episodes on those and start talking to developers that are writing those apps and all those great things. So just send me a voicemail or email. That'd be great. So that wraps up this show, and as always, I'd appreciate feedback. You can do that at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com and 209-542-iPad. If you would like to find out more information about this show and other shows, you can go to thepossibilitiesnetwork.com, and you'll find out all the information about this iPad show, as well as some other shows that I do as well. So just check it out at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. And if you would like to support the show, you can do that in one of a few different ways. The first way is simply in iTunes. Just review this show in iTunes. That really helps bring the visibility of this show up in iTunes so others can discover it as you have. So that's the first great way to do that. Secondly, if you'd like to become a premium member of this podcast, that is one of the best ways to support this show. It's only $2 a month to do that, and with that, you get the shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just as you do in the podcast app. You get a different version of the show. You get an ad-free version, no ads at all. So you get that with the premium version of the show. You get extra episodes, both video and audio, and a bunch of other things. You'll have special promos and giveaways of different apps and hardware things. So you can subscribe today for only $2 a month. Just go to the possibilities and 99 cents, and the greatest benefit of that show is just ease of access. You get the shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as a few extra video shows that I'll throw in there as well. So grab that today in the App Store for $2.99. Once again, it's called the iPad Possibilities Podcast app. And just check out thepossibilitiesnetwork.com for some other ways to support the show, including Audible and Don McAllister's Screencast Online show. If you go through our website, that helps out Don as well as this show. So check it all out there at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. So until the Friday, Saturday show, this is Tim Chatton of the iPad Possibilities Podcast, and we will speak again.